Regarding, is there anything that we can do to support that motion?
Probably, I'm not sure.
Any legal people
let me
here,
field that.
friend of the
Let me
court,
field
is
that.
there
Yeah.
something we can do to add our names to that? Because it seems like, and I'm no attorney, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But there is something, I believe, in legal terminology, and I can't remember what it's called, friend of the court or friend of something, where
Next to friend.
somebody.
Next to friend. Yeah.
What's that?
Next friend.
It's something like that, but we can sign on to your affidavit and make, somehow it adds some emphasis to it.
Well, the affidavit is already in the mail.
Okay, so it's a done deal. Okay.
Well, you can, I don't know, you can contact the court in Eugene and express your sentiment to the
Okay,
court.
well, if nothing else, then maybe that's an avenue for
Yeah,
all
I
of us
would,
to go.
yeah,
I'm
send-
great on the phone.
Yeah, send them a letter to the court in Eugene, and the judge's name is Patricia Sullivan.
All right, thank you.
Which court?
It's the Federal District Court in Eugene.
So I'd like to talk about what you're talking about for a second here.
I found that he had been denied his due process, and there was a threat to his Fourth Amendment right. And we went in and, at his request, went in and stood guard of the Sugar Pine so BLM could not come in and take it. One of the greatest challenges I had is what unfortunately has happened today, and that is the fringe element. They are not part of us, they don't speak for us, and they have a very different and distorted view of how to do things right. We are a nation of law, and we must do things lawfully. If we don't follow the law, we lose the moral high ground. It's absolutely imperative to do that. We've got to do, we may be frustrated, we may be angry, we need to speak out. What's happened today? How many folks here actually live in Harney County? You're from the local community. In the room here, this is what I call strength in numbers. This is important. This is the start of community. You must come together as a community. You do not have to like each other. You don't have to go out or share meals with each other. But if you have the common concern and your common goal is to stand for your community and take back management of your lands, you have to do it the right way. Now, what happened with Sugar Pine, and what was interesting there, is BLM came in and they issued these miners a notice of no trespass. Or excuse me, they issued non-compliance. They wanted an operations plan. In the history of that mine, 146 years, they have never filed an operations plan. The next threat, the next step that BLM took was, we're going to come in, remove all of the mining equipment, we're going to close up the mine, refurbish it, and shut you down. That's a violation of Fifth Amendment. That's a violation of Fourth Amendment. They're allowed their day in court. If BLM had walked in, issued them a citation, this is the law that you broke and violated, we never would have shown up. That's lawful. They were given their due process. I understand we have two situations here in Harney County, and they're very distinctly different. The Hammond situation, their Fifth and Eighth Amendment rights have been violated by the federal court in Eugene. Does anybody actually know what the Constitution says? Everybody know on, when we talk about Fifth Amendment, we always talk about the double jeopardy. Does anybody know what that is? It says you shall not be put twice into jeopardy of life or limb. I believe that Hammond's going back to prison is doing exactly that. That's twice into jeopardy. And I don't think you can not argue it isn't cruel or unusual, especially since I've been home for 2 years. This room, this community that's coming together is how you start, as was noted earlier, your redress of grievance. This is how you make your elected representatives. Those are elected employees. They work for you. And if you're not sending emails, you're not making phone calls, you're not knocking on the door of your commissioners, you're wrong. You have to get their attention. Now, the Committee of Safety that's formed, what's unique about that is the establishment of a governmental entity. That forces BLM in their own policy, they must coordinate with you. It becomes no different than a school district, a mining district, or a fire district. They're pseudo-government entities. Everybody in this room right now, if you're a member of Harney County or local communities and you have ranching issues, if you're not part of that committee or you don't get involved in it, you're wrong. It is the only way you're going to change it. They plan this. These agencies like to pick them off one by one by one by one. And you need the community to come together, to work together, and this is a value. You have values within Harney County. Your values must be voiced to your elected employees. And if they aren't representing your value, get rid of them. Vote in somebody that is going to stand and isn't afraid. People, and I've heard this and it bothers me, people say, oh, they're going to come after me. I ran the Sugar Pine mine operation for over 6 weeks, day in, day out. No one has knocked on my door or sent a threat to me at all from the federal government. If you stand together, you have nothing to fear, but you must stand together.
Hey guys, I want to address what the concern is. We're going to address this right now. This is Bill. I think you guys both, so you know him, he's in your community. He wanted to say a few words. Because he called me on the way over here about this concern that you guys are talking about.
My name is Bill Bostels. I've been here about 5 years. I got stationed here as a recruiter for the National Guard. And I'd like to say, I think what everyone here did today is amazing. And I love seeing the community come together. I've been here, I think these 3% guys are great. As a matter of fact, I just told a couple of them when I retire from the Guard, I got another couple years left, I intend on joining this organization. I love what they stand for. What I've been complaining about for the last week is the guys that are now out of the refuge doing a standoff. I'm a people person. I was a recruiter. I read people really well. I've been to war twice. I know what extremism is when I see it. These guys aren't the same people that were out there last night. I don't know, was anyone here at the meeting last night? Show of hands. Yeah. Did anyone see these guys have to physically restrain the guys that I called out as extremists? Because that's what they are. And I dined them out on it. These guys aren't the same people that are doing that. And unfortunately, I don't know, I'm assuming there's a lot of veterans in here. And unfortunately, there's a term we use in the military a lot, perception is reality. Unfortunately, everything you guys did today in our community to come together was just undone by, go ahead.
Wait, well, hold on. It wasn't.
It's a
Is there
stain.
any way to stop what's going on out there? Can someone call them? Can someone bring them down? I mean,
We have people out there right now trying to talk them down. We tried to talk them down right after the rally, and it didn't work. Okay? So there comes a point in time, as he saw last night, and some of you, who else was here last night? Okay, those of you that were here last night, with this concern, did you not start to see a separation?
Big separation. Huge separation. The two guys that I called out for being the most extreme wanted a physical altercation. This lady here, these two, physically grabbed them to keep me from, so I could finish what I was saying. They wanted to fight. This lady here, and this gentleman here, and this gentleman here all spoke to me for probably 45 minutes in the back of the room. These guys are, I hate to say it, I was calling the other guys the bad guys all along. These guys aren't, you guys aren't. It's great to see a community come together and do what you guys did today. This is the right answer, not what they're doing out there. Because now, all they're going to do is bring in the federal law enforcement
is everything, but it's not undone. You go tell our story. You tell our
Okay.
story. You tell our
Okay,
story.
guys, she's right, and I want to address something. You have to make a hard decision sometimes. You have to separate yourself from the ones that don't believe or align with you. Okay? And people make their own choices. We can't force somebody not to do something. We've advised them, we met with them, we try to talk them out of it. They're big boys and girls, whoever went. They're going to go do what they do. We try to intervene. It didn't work. Okay? Sometimes you have to just separate yourself, let them go do what they're going to do, and it's wrong. I will stand here in front of every person in this building and say what's taking place out there is wrong. We bust our ass daily to move this movement forward in a positive way, what you guys have seen us do. Something like that sets us back. We got to start all over again. I don't think it completely tears us down, but it tears you down. And now we're here answering questions. The reason why we call this town hall meeting, I got you to say. The reason why we call this town hall meeting with the community right here, right now, is to address that. And also to address getting your community to stand up and move forward more with the safety committee and whatnot. Those are the two things. Okay? I know, it sucks. But sometimes you gotta let people go do, they're gonna make mistakes. And we can't stop them, other than physically going out there making a line. Well, the feds are there doing it right now. So, the other issue, the stance they're taking and doing what they're doing, is gonna bring more feds into your county. They're gonna stop this. So it's counterproductive. Okay? Just that, Rick.
Are those people that are out there from our community?
To be honest with you, I don't know who's all out there. As soon as I heard that happen, I separated myself. I just know of the three people that aren't from this community that are out there. One of them spoke to you on top of the snow pile after the rally. And then the two other gentlemen that were here at the meeting last night. They aren't here now. As far as the community members, I don't know. I'm not out there.
Brandon, the thing that will be done to mitigate some of this, one of the things that can be done to mitigate the idiot factor, let's just call it what it is for public discourse. To distance yourself publicly as a community, as organizations, as citizens of the county. To distance yourself from the poor behavior that's going on out there. It's accomplishing nothing. The Hammonds didn't ask for a confrontation. Okay? We came to show some solidarity support and then go home as a peaceful members of the community. What's going on is you're being hijacked by people with an agenda of their own. And everyone who does the face-paste and all that other social media needs to go home and say they're idiots. They need to distance themselves from that so that the community knows that the actions of the few, the poor actions of the few, do not represent the thought and sentiments of the majority.
The federal government has a vested interest in this kind of stuff happening so that they can blacklist us. I'm with the Oath Keepers, and I came down here with some Baker County chapter of Oath Keepers. I called the dispatch last night because I had heard rumors of some militant guys down here I heard that there was some high tensions going on in this area, and I called dispatch specifically letting them know that our intentions was to peaceably assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances, to stand up for our constitutional rights, and that we were not trying to pick a fight with local law enforcement. So I think if we reassure local law enforcement that that's not our intention whatsoever, but that we are vehemently opposed to what has happened and the judgment that's been handed down to the Hammonds, then that will help, because we don't know what the press will do with this either. And I also have a radio show, a local radio show that broadcasts in Baker County and Union County, and I will fairly report on what I've seen here today, and I will get the word out. So I won't let, at least in the small community and small listenership that I have, I won't let it be twisted into something that it wasn't. And I think we can all participate in that. We can get a hold of, we can talk to our local press, we can talk to our local law enforcement and say, hey, you're talking about three bad apples, whatever they are, agent provocateurs. It doesn't seem like anybody knows these guys, which is suspect, but we can counter what they've done.
the reality of it is, you get it, they only had 3 bad apples, and we're all standing here.
Right?
So, whatever's going to come down their path for their actions, so be it. But it's not, I'm not going to allow it to black eye us up here or you as a community.
We're all here because of a couple bad apples, and I think the first way that we should fight all of this is voting. And Oregon is a closed primary, so you have to be in one of the two, now Oregon has 3 major parties. You have to be in one of the 3 major parties. And if probably half of you guys here are not registered into one of them because you're frustrated. Republicans don't do anything for us. The Democrats don't do anything for us. And that's why we're in the position we are. We don't vote in the primaries and get rid of these people. Then we're stuck in the general election. It's going to be one of the 2 corrupt people running. So I learned back in 2008 when Ron Paul was running for president how much they hate him in the party. And I joined the party and I was instantly the bad guy because I supported Ron Paul. And I learned that they push you out. They make stories up against you. They do anything they can to get rid of you if you're not one of them. And that's what we need to do, is we need to get involved into the political party and our county parties and stand up and get rid of these people as they're lying. Look, there's no representative here. Greg Walden, he's the federal representative. He's missing. He says this is above his pay grade. He doesn't do this stuff. Exactly. And the only way you can fire him is in the primaries. We need to get in the party. You have to be in the party and vote in the primaries. And then you can take over your county party too by just going 4 nights a year. You go to your county meetings and you find out who the good people are and who the bad people are. And you vote them out. And you can't vote unless you're a precinct committee person. So you have to be in the party. So I've got some voter registration cards here. If anybody can, at the end of the day, I'll be right over here. Thank you. Join the party and vote them out before it gets to this now. Because the police officers, they're only following the rules. The politicians are the ones making the rules.
And if you have the opportunity, sign up to become a precinct committee person.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have Hammond Bundy on the phone. And I told him that I absolutely do not support him. He's on the phone right now. That I absolutely do not support him in the efforts that they're doing. And he wants to explain to you what their intentions are. And I told him to get his ass down here and tell you yourselves. Would anybody like to hear that from him?
Put on speaker.
Put it on speaker.
Put on speaker.
No, he needs to come here.
I thought he went down there.
Yeah, he needs to drive here.
Right now to explain to you.
He's on his way here.
I don't know if any of you know, but they were getting ready to block the road like 2 hours ago.
Hey, look, if they didn't.
But here's the thing, guys. We're here. I'm not concerned with what they're doing there because we don't support it. And the only people we can control is ourselves in this room. So if he wants to come here and explain himself to the community, he just has to talk to me on the phone so I could pass along our response to him, to BJ, to tell him to get his ass here and do it himself.
And we can't keep speculating. We should listen to them. We're just speculating right now. Nobody's guilty.
So real quickly, I want to just touch base on what he's talking about. I also myself, hey guys, can you listen up? I also myself reached out, as a former law enforcement officer myself of 11 years, reached out to your sheriff to meet with me twice before I even got to town. I was ignored. I met with him 4 weeks ago in his office before this whole thing heated up with Joseph Rice and BJ Sofer. We all had a meeting with him. He was open to talking. He asked us to do that. He seemed interested at that time to hear what we had to say until he decided that he was a sellout and was not going to take a stand to support his constituents or his citizens of his county. And I'm sorry, I'm a former law enforcement officer myself as a constitutional officer, and I take that as a slap in the face. Okay? Your sheriff shut down. I called him, and I sent him an email and call. I said, it's imperative you and I meet face to face when I get to town to try to prevent this stuff, to talk about if this happened, have a plan in place to help the sheriff. He ignored me. He shut down. That's your sheriff. And I hope that the next time of the election, you don't let it happen again. Go in the bag right here.
Guys, I want you to just, by the way, if anybody wants to yell at me, just go easy on me because I don't like public speaking. I'm just kidding. No, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a radio talk show host, really. I'm a radio talk show host secondarily to the fact that I'm a United States Marine. I swore an oath, okay? Let me give you a scenario here. This is what I represent, okay? And this is what I think we've all convened for. Now, I have to relate it back to Bundy Ranch. I do have to relate it back to Bundy Ranch. What's your name now? Yeah. Bertha, right? Hi, Bertha. How are you? Somebody like Bertha, who gets involved in taking a stand and going and supporting the Hammond family, which is exactly why I'm here. I'm here to support the Hammond family. I'm here to support this community. Honest to goodness. Even those people that were afraid to speak out. And I came here to make sure that Bertha, if she said, you know what, this is what's being done to the Hammond family is absolutely wrong. And if the federal government or local law enforcement, they were to prevent you from speaking out or they wanted to bring harm to you, for you speaking out, you exercising your First Amendment rights. Okay, you knew it was absolutely right. If we all together in the room, by consensus, said, you know what, what's absolutely right, you need to free the Hammonds, you know, and let's take a stand for that. We would all together unite behind that, correct? Would we not? Right. So, you know, my garb, my Marine Corps garb, okay, is really more of a public relations effort to say, you know what, I'm not, does anyone believe that I'm a dangerous person because I have camis on? It's really an effort to, I mean, I'm wearing camis.
This is Pete Santilli.
The most powerful weapon that I have is a microphone and a camera, okay? So I can wear camis and that's okay. The militia is not a bad thing, but the militia is intended, just like you see here. Does everyone feel comfortable with what Brandon just said?
Yeah.
That we stand together. The militia is not a bad thing. We protect our constitutional rights. I'm going to come right out and say this. I love Hammond Bundy like a brother, okay? And if you were here right beside me, okay, or out there, wherever it may be, I would absolutely do everything in my powers, surround him, and make sure that no harm comes to him, and that he does not make the wrong decision, okay? We, as a people, are not about making any offensive maneuvers, correct?
Correct.
No, we defend ourselves. We do not fire a shot unless fired upon. We don't make offensive maneuvers to go take over military bases. I'm using that as an example. That's not what I'm about myself, okay? I'm about...
Please don't take that out of context.
No, don't take it out of context. I'm not about doing any offensive maneuvers. I'm about protecting the Hammonds, protecting our U.S. Constitution, protecting our judiciary, make sure that it's not corrupted. You know what I called for? You know why I came here? I wanted to demand it. I wanted to demand full public disclosure and education of the people of Hammond County as to what happened to the Hammonds. And all I said was, let's push the pause button. And let's not waste it. Those folks don't need to go to jail, do they? No. They really don't. Okay, so let's say if I'm driving down the road and I went 90 and a 35 and I exceeded the speed limit, I need to be held to account.
You go under the speed limit.
Okay, I do, I keep traffic, but I need to be held to account. So let's say through that full public disclosure, they said, you know what, you didn't pick up the phone and call the BLM, shame on you, hand slap, here, you paid your fine, we're going to pay you a whole bunch of money back. We're really, really sorry about this whole thing. What we did was wrong to you, okay? I think that the county deserves that this community right here has suffered long enough. Don't you agree? You've suffered long enough through this. You want to move on with your lives. Unfortunately, the Hammonds have not been able to move on with their lives. Their lives have been taken away, okay? So, because I knew that there were anomalies, there were certain questions, I looked at all the court documents. I even spoke to Frank Papagni, the U.S. attorney. Spoke to him personally. And I said, okay, you're right. You're on the side of the Constitution. Everything was right. You got your appellate. And I said, there's so many questions right now about this process. Can you do me a favor? Just push pause and don't take these good people to jail. That's all I asked for. Just push the pause button. I asked the sheriff. I asked the U.S. attorney. And they ignored that. And I wanted to come here with we the people. And I would have walked right